What's going on, guys? Welcome back to WWE Network and Show, where I, Graham G.S. and Matthews, break down all the original content they watch on the WWE Network and on Peacock. And today we're talking the April 25th, 2022 edition of Raw Talk, breaking down what I thought was actually a very enjoyable edition of Raw on the whole this week. And Raw, honestly, really on the whole, I would say since WrestleMania, and really for the better part of the year so far, has been pretty good, at least by recent Raw standards. I mean, not to compare shows, Dynamite, I would say, is still the best wrestling show out there from week to week. But from what we've come to expect from Raw in recent years, I think the show has been pretty bearable and pretty entertaining for the most part, with some engaging, compelling, interesting storylines in recent weeks, months, good matches and stuff along those lines, and nice surprises. So I'll take good Raw content whenever I can get it, is pretty much what I'm saying here. But getting into Raw Talk here, they start out the show, Jackie Redmond and Matt Camp breaking down the biggest headlines from Monday night, including Asuka's return. We saw Asuka return for the first time in, I believe, 9 months. I saw somewhere, I knew she was gone since the summer. I did not know we hadn't seen her since Money in the Bank in July, which was like WWE's second show back on the road. And I don't think she's been on a show since. I thought she was around in like August or whatever. I thought she was teaming with Naomi or something like that. Maybe not. I guess not. But maybe that was the year prior. Nonetheless, we haven't seen her in a very long time. So they replay the return where she interrupted Becky Lynch on Raw. Good segment. We hear quickly backstage from Becky with Sarah Schreiber at Raw this week, here on Raw Talk rather. And Asuka just kind of does her usual gimmick where she's dancing all over the place, acting goofy, kind of speaking in Japanese, stuff like that. Kind of rambling, really. Not just speaking in Japanese, but like the rambling that she was known for before she took time off. She did that whole thing again. And basically just said, I guess, that she's coming for the Raw Women's Championship, and that, she addressed Becky Lynch and said that no one's ready for Asuka. So the usual Asuka line. Real quickly on the Asuka thing, I'm very happy to see her back. The Raw Women's division can only benefit from having her back. I think they have talent in that division, but they don't have a lot of talent that really means anything right now. Nikki Ash, the character, sucks. That needs a real overhaul, in my opinion. Doudrop, I think, is very good. They haven't exactly made her out to look like a threat in recent months, ever since she got called up to the main roster about a year ago. But, I think she's very good. Doesn't mean a whole lot right now. Carmella, Queen Zelina are just kind of throwaway heels, in my opinion, at this current point. Tamina's awful. Dana Brooke is not good. So they needed some more talent in that Raw Women's division. Asuka's a great get. Hopefully at some point they either bring back Bayley to Raw or call someone up. Which, did they do that? I know SmackDown got Raquel Gonzalez or Raquel Rodriguez, but I guess Raw didn't get any women. I think Raw would be a perfect landing spot for Io Shirai. If, I think she might be hurt, I heard, because she hasn't been on NXT lately, so maybe when she's clear to compete, she can go to Raw. If that's in the books, who knows? But either way, if Asuka's going to be back, and I think that's great, they got to make her more serious again. The whole goofy shit with the green mist, I think the face paint is cool, but it ran its course a while ago. I'm ready for a different side of Asuka. And not even just heel Asuka. I thought heel Asuka alongside Kairi Sane as the Kabuki Warriors a couple of years ago was cool. But the whole goofy shit, she's been doing this for years now. She was doing it last year. She was doing it during the pandemic. A lot of people called her the MVP of that pandemic era. And I would say that's true to an extent, because she had a lot of really good matches, and she was Raw Women's Champion for a very long time around that period, for like almost a good year. From when Becky left up until WrestleMania of last year, Asuka was like the focal point of that division, or at least was intended to be as the champion. But the antics and the goofiness just has really made me care a lot less about Asuka. So as happy as I am to have her back, hopefully we could see more of a serious side to Asuka as we did when she first got called up, and even more so in NXT. But back in the studio, JBL says that he's excited to see her back. Matt Camp actually references, which I completely forgot about. And I'm happy to see them rekindle this rivalry between Asuka and Becky. It's something we've seen before back in 2019 and in 2020. First over the SmackDown Women's Championship going into the Rumble that year, and then over the Raw Women's Championship going into the Rumble pay-per-view 2 years ago. So this isn't at the Rumble pay-per-view, but it is cool to see nonetheless. But what I completely forgot about was the fact that the last time we had seen Asuka and Becky interact on WWE TV was when Becky got pregnant and had to give up the Raw Women's Championship. And she immediately relinquished it, and it was immediately given to Asuka, who had just won Money in the Bank for the women the night before. So, I mean, that's actually they didn't obviously just talk about that on Monday's Raw. It was a quick confrontation, and that was it. But I think that'd be a great thing to go off of in future, I say promo battles. I'm not really sure how much of a promo battle they'll have. But if Asuka can bring that up, or if Becky can bring that up, I think that'd be great. So Matt Camp with a great reference there. I thought that was really well done. And maybe other people were discussing that too on Twitter. I just didn't see it. I didn't watch Raw Live. But JBL says that Becky is not currently comfortable in her own skin right now, and Asuka is not what she needs and not what she wants to get back to where she was. Talking about Randy Orton, who celebrated 20 years on the WWE main roster on Monday, a great full circle, moment for Orton on Raw, although he debuted on SmackDown, still very cool. JBL references that, he talks about Orton's career, first meeting him, and how when he first debuted, they knew that he was going to be one of the greatest of all time, he said, and that Orton must have in that moment felt astronomical pressure. Not only did he meet that pressure, he exceeded it with the accolades and the great work he's done in the last 2 decades. He calls him God's gift to wrestling. And Matt Camp says that he has a lot more to go as far as Orton is concerned. They then replayed Damian Priest versus Finn Balor, which was a well-wrestled match, but, it's a match I should be more excited for, but they've already done it a few times already on the main roster, and they've completely devalued any value that match had left from NXT, where they had great chemistry at that one TakeOver show a few years ago. Not only that, but Finn Balor has unfortunately never meant less on the main roster. I mean, at this point, he's just there. As for Damian Priest, he's really good. The Edge act is starting to slowly but surely kind of find its footing, and the presentation is getting better. Less of the goofy supernatural bullshit, please, and more of like the darker shit, like House of Black style. I think that'd be great. But yeah, for Balor, I don't know what his future holds. I know he posted that picture of the Bullet Club thing with all the championships he's won, all the accolades he's gotten in WWE, with the Bullet Club picture in the background. I don't know if that was supposed to hint at anything, or if it's like, I'm not exactly sure, but even still, I mean, Balor, either he's got to go or they got to do something with him. He went to NXT, had a great run there, came back, and they have still not done anything with him. So at this point, it might be just better if he leaves, because they clearly do not view him beyond a certain level on this show. They then hype up AJ Styles versus Edge for WrestleMania Backlash next weekend and tease that AJ might be injured going into that match a lot like he was for WrestleMania last month, or earlier this month, rather. They then recap the return of Mustafa Ali against The Miz. Mustafa's return on Miz TV, followed by the match with The Miz that Ali won. We hear backstage with Kevin Patrick, Ali, and him talking about how he had a game plan coming into his return on Raw to challenge for that United States Championship. And even though those, that kind of got messed up a little bit in the match with The Miz, his goals remain the same in beating The Miz. Now his sights are set on beating Theory for that United States Championship. Patrick asks him about, listen, what about Ciampa? Like, you can't avoid the obvious roadblock that is Ciampa attacking you following your win. And Ali says, listen, I know all about Ciampa. I know what he's about. Why he did what he did, I don't know. And that was really about it. So Ali seemed a bit more over the top here than we've seen him in past interviews on Raw Talk and elsewhere, probably because the whole situation is just comical. I mean, this company for years now has been, really since the pandemic started, releasing people ad nauseum due to budget cuts. Big stars, lesser-known stars, no one has been immune to the budget cuts of WWE. With that being said, they refused to grant the release request of Mustafa Ali. Why, I have no idea. And I think Ali is very talented. Will he be a game changer anywhere? Probably not. So that makes it even a bit more puzzling. It's not like it's a Randy Orton or someone like that. It's someone they weren't even doing anything with prior to his absence from television late last year. We haven't seen him on Raw since October. I know he got drafted to SmackDown in October as well. He may have been in October. He may have been on SmackDown in November. I don't remember. He was there for like a couple of more matches after the feud with Mansoor was over. And obviously we haven't seen him since. Not literally, but he did indeed take his ball and went home, but for the right reasons. I mean, he wants to leave. He doesn't want to be there anymore. They clearly were not using him before he even asked for his release. It's not like he was on TV every week and then he was like, yeah, I'm out of here. No, I mean, they were not doing shit with this guy. They gave him like a week or two off to go be with his son, who had just been born at that point. And then we haven't seen the guy since. So, I mean, SmackDown has a lot of people that aren't doing shit right now, so putting him on Raw might be for the better. But still, I mean, listen, if they're not going to grant him his release, which I'm not even saying they absolutely need to, because they are within their legal right to hold on to him. You sign a contract, you have to honor it as far as the performer goes. WWE can release anyone whenever they want. For better or for worse, that's just their contracts are far from ironclad, as the Big Show would say 10 years ago. But with the Ali situation, if you're not going to do anything with the guy, then why the fuck? It's not really a legal thing, it's more of a moral thing. If you're not going to do anything with him, then just let the guy go. I don't understand that. So, that being said, if they're not going to let him go anytime soon, and I refuse to believe they'll wait another 2.5 years to let this guy go. I really don't think they'll let him sit on the sidelines or keep him around for 2 years, waiting for his contract to expire. The next time we get the inevitable budget cut bunch, the bunch of budget cut releases, then he'll probably be among them, a lot like they were with the Lucha House Party and Luke Harper years ago and stuff like that. I would be far from shocked. But anyway, at least they're going to use him in the meantime. So I don't know if this is something he wanted and they ordered him to come back. I mean, they did ask him to be in the Rumble and he said no. Maybe he changed his mind, I don't know. But he's making the most of the situation, which I appreciate, and he's here now. So he did beat The Miz. He's got his sights set on the U.S. Championship, and he beat, he's going to be probably feuding with Ciampa, or at least have a one-off with a heel Ciampa on Raw. So all in all, I'm okay with that. They then recap the arm wrestling contest from Raw as well. That was won by Bobby Lashley before replaying the Bianca Belair-Deville match, Sonya Deville match that was won by Bianca, retaining her Raw Women's Championship in the process. Kevin Patrick tries to get an exclusive backstage with Sonya following her match here on Raw Talk. She deflects every question. She says that she was quick on her feet. She should be praised for that and not admonished for her decision to make it a no DQ match or no countout match, whatever. As far as her actions in slapping Carmella and Zelina backstage, she says that they failed to deliver their end of the bargain, and they got what they deserved. And as far as an investigation on Sonya for what she's done in the last couple of weeks, months, as an authority figure on WWE TV, she says that she's done everything by the book and she has nothing to worry about. As far as how Adam Pearce feels, she has no idea. She urges Kevin to go talk to him instead. JBL's on the side of Sonya here. He says that it was terrible journalism on the part of Kevin Patrick to inquire as much as he did, although it was great journalism. We need more of that in the world, and including for myself as well. I mean, he asked all the hard-hitting questions there, which was great. But JBL says that he would have done the exact same thing. He would have been as corrupt of a GM as Sonya is currently. Matt Camp defends Kevin Patrick and says that he did great journalism work and that JBL, that's more of a reflection of his run as the NXT GM from years ago. And that gets a great pop out of JBL, who laughs for like a solid minute after that. And then Matt Camp calls Sonya the Angel Hernandez of authority figures in WWE, which is hysterical. As far as the match goes, JBL says that Bianca is just not only the better athlete compared to Sonya, but just a better athlete than anyone else on the roster right now. And it was a great hometown win for her as the Raw Women's Champion. They close out talking about Bobby Lashley and MVP and Omos and that whole thing. JBL compares MVP to Paul Heyman and calls Bobby Lashley a freak in nature. I mean, he would know Bobby beat JBL for the United States Championship like 15 years ago on Raw, so he would know better than anyone. Over 15 years ago at this point. But yeah, he calls it a perfect situation for Omos come WrestleMania Backlash and getting his rematch with Bobby, this time with MVP in his corner. And Cam says Lashley needs this win just to shut MVP the hell up, and that he can prove that he can get the job done on his own. So that was Raw Talk in a nutshell for April 25th, 2022. Good show, more newsworthy than usual, hearing from Asuka and Ali following the returns on Raw this week, so not must see. The Asuka interview was like 30 seconds, and it really didn't have anything of note in it, but the Ali interview was good. So it was a better edition of Raw Talk than usual. JBL was entertaining. I thought it was a good, solid edition of Raw Talk that is worth watching for the interviews with Ali and Asuka alone. Thank you guys, as always, for checking out my review. I appreciate it. Be sure to like the video, drop a comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more daily content. And be sure to stick around every Tuesday for new Raw Talk reviews, interviews, Q&A videos like hashtag AskGSM every single Wednesday, WrestleRant radio excerpts, I mentioned the interviews, reviews, Marvel reviews, and so much more, live reactions. You're going to be greatly missing out if you're not hitting that bell button to be notified every time a new video goes up. Have a great rest of your week, guys. I'm Graham GSM Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.